Hello and welcome to AnyWho. Today we have two members with us to talk about the latest episode. We've got Daniel Northover. He's a massive fan and he's a member of the Doctor Who Merseyside group. And we've got Blake Emery, who's normally
me again
on production, but Merv is still in the pantomime.
Yes.
Still being a bad Aladdin.
Bad Aladdin.
That was actually in the show.
She said, "Oh no, he isn't." Like you said before.
Yeah. So we're looking back at the last episode, which was the Toymaker, and
The Giggle.
Yeah, the Giggle, and we thought that we were going to lose David Tennant altogether in this episode.
Well, we kind of did, and obviously we put in some ideas on our last episode of what we think may happen, and I think we were pretty close. With one of the options was there, and we were close, and
we sort of knew that he was going to be acting against his new version.
And I was mainly worried to see if he was gonna like take away from Shooty, taking the limelight from him in a way. But I think the way they did it didn't really. I didn't really feel like.
I don't know.
I think they bounced off each other quite well.
Because David Tennant ended up wearing the pants, didn't he?
Well,
given the alternatives there, I think possibly we did quite well, really.
Well, yeah, definitely.
So let's start right. Go from the beginning.
Rewind.
We're starting off with John Logie Bear. Yogi Bear, no,
yes.
not Logie Bear.
Oh yeah, but we start off with a flashback to the 1925
when television is about to be invented.
Yeah,
and Stucky Bill was actually the first thing that was on the television.
Yeah,
so,
historically accurate and everything.
Historically accurate, so it was quite interesting. So, what did we think about the initial look and sound of the new Toymaker?
Do you know what? I will be honest here. Even though it is the worst German accent I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It is proper.
But
then skipping slightly, the French ain't great. It is a low German accent, and it is sort of deliberate.
Yeah, you can tell it's deliberate because of the amount of times he changes back to like his American accent, like a scuffed English accent.
He literally cuts in that first scene to a different accent when he's asking a slightly jabby point, and a slightly racist query.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a couple of racist moments in this episode, wasn't there?
I was looking on Facebook at all the people commenting, and a lot of people said, "I didn't think he was racist," and I'm like, that's bizarre that you didn't think that was racist.
It's because, and with the original Toymaker, it was because the robes and Celestials, it's from China, isn't it? So I think a lot of the robes, a white person wearing those robes was considered racist.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of controversy around that, wasn't there?
I mean, again, the whole idea of a Celestial Toymaker, the idea of, because again, it is another word for that particular part of Asia, but it's not a nice word either.
No.
Celestial is not being used in a nice term in the original series. There are a lot of controversies about.
But now Celestial's used a lot in sci-fi and a lot of films, just as things beyond in the sky.
Yeah.
So it has changed meaning now. Yeah. But it's an interesting use.
I think that can happen just as much as terminology, to describe. People from other countries has changed and moved. It's one of those things that people need to be educated about, and certainly asking, saying you're from warmer climes and assuming he wasn't originally from the UK is one of those things.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many Asians were around Britain in 1925. I don't really know the history of Asian people. I tend to know the history of black people in the UK. But
well, bear in mind Liverpool, which is the city we're in, has
a lot of history.
The oldest Chinese community outside. Yeah, it is.
But he wasn't Chinese.
No. But in terms of all of these places are ports. So
Yeah.
again, you'd have had people from everywhere coming through.
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Especially in London.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
especially in Soho.
Yeah.
And I think
Everyone.
he also calls out his accents, I think, doesn't he, in that scene? If
He
I
does.
remember
He
right.
calls the German accent out.
Yeah.
He said, where's your accent gone?
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot in that was sort of, it was very undercover.
Yeah.
To sort of make people realise what a nasty piece of work he was in a way.
Yeah.
So he gets Stooky Bill.
Stooky Bill.
Stucky
Bill.
Stooky Bill.
Stooky Bill.
And leaves the mother and children behind, and you can see that's really annoyed the Toymaker.
Yeah, because he was trying to upsell.
Upsell, yeah, he's trying to,
It's like,
when they're in the door, sell some more.
yeah.
Much like the studio below. No.
Sponsor.
So so the television, we see the television scene and they're quite scary.
And
That was
melting.
terrifying.
It was a
Yeah.
bit scary.
The
Wasn't
doll
it?
itself is terrifying.
Yeah.
Setting fire to the doll.
Yeah.
The way the doll's mouth dropped.
The
open.
bright
know.
lights melting it away. It
Yeah.
was just, everything was just, yeah.
Perfect.
I said last
perfect
week there's
scare.
not that many things that scare me because with, everything that was going on last week, nothing really fazed me.
Yeah, see,
but-
I was scared of.
And then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, I really don't like puppets and animatronics. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they've got me this week.
This week they've got me.
They usually do get. I think they get everybody at some point.
Yeah.
They just go poke their finger in.
It's not like they scare me, they just give me the creeps.
There is also another thing. Again, for the few of us that remember the original times, or at least have seen them, the idea of the Toymaker is that he takes people and turns them into toys when they
Yeah.
lose. And
Yeah.
that's back in the 1960s. So Stooky Bill is a person,
Yeah.
or was a person,
At some point,
as
and
was
his
the wife,
And, his
and
wife
and the
kids,
children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which again is worth thinking about later on.
I know. I know, because he does find later. When he goes back, he does find that guy turned into a puppet, and that was quite terrifying. I
Yeah.
thought, yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of
And then the doctor being on afterwards as well.
mm,
Yeah. That was all good as well.
Yeah.
But that whole, I don't want to jump. I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm not
Oh,
going to do
I
it.
know.
I'm not doing it.
Don't jump ahead. Right. so we're back in
back to Grandad.
to Grandad and all the human beings just behaving like they do normally. Actually, I thought. All thinking that they were right.
It does feel very like that at the moment. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, it's definitely playing on like the political climate at the moment, isn't it? And how people do all think they're right. And
Yeah,
it's
but
obviously
how-
a big dig at the fandom as well, which I've seen Russell doing on social media for the last like week or so, saying like, "Oh no, I'm changing the canon." Like
We all know how much they love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He really has
He just
been,
does not care.
Let's poke a gammon. Let's
Yeah.
poke a gammon.
But it's that
Way
kind of
to do
thing.
it.
You need to do that to find out if it's ready.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few that are cooked at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
But it's the way
Well,
it is.
But I think the social commentary on this with the look at Brexit and
Politics.
all the politics about how easy it is to persuade people that this is the right answer,
Yeah,
and then you get factions. So one lot think they're right, and the other lot think they're right, and you end up with a war. And
Once you've persuaded them they're right, trying to persuade them that they're not,
is the hardest.
even
bit.
with evidence, is,
Yeah.
I will stand in front of this car. You could just move over there and be fine. Why should I change when, because you'll be run over? It's my life. And again, there's the anti-vax stuff as well in there. There's quite strong threads of, see later,
I'm not-
conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we're not wearing the armband because they're going to kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two people with red hair. What are you doing? But skipping ahead.
Yeah, but
So-
that's no. I mean, I don't think it's too bad. To skip ahead on this because it is
No.
just the whole topic of the show. I think Russell's really good at bringing these things in. When he did Years and Years, it was very much of
That
the
was
time.
something I was going to mention. The music. Did you notice Murray Gold's music at the time with the world falling apart? I thought it was really like Years and Years with the chaos scenes in there.
Yeah.
Like, if you remember when the camps were broken into, that children's singing stuff. It basically, I just went, isn't that the music from Years and Years? It just feels like...
Yeah, I'll have to look back at that.
Oh, yeah, because it's that kind of chanting kind of music, isn't it?
Yeah.
I normally pick up on things like that when I go back and watch a second time, but because I haven't yet.
I know. I've watched twice, but the first time I was watching on my phone with the headphones on in my son's apartment.
I was watching it.
Not the same, is it?
No.
I was watching it after a few drinks after being out all night, and it was like 1 a.m.
Yeah. So it's I think it's
extra freaked me out.
I know it's always worth watching 2, perhaps even 3 times.
Going to bed straight after watching Suki Bill.
Yeah.
So they go up into unit and meet Mel.
Oh, wasn't that a joy?
Yeah.
And also the way they did it with her just going, "Hi, you're a bit busy. We'll catch up."
Yeah. I don't know what's gone on with Ian Levine, because he suddenly thinks she's the most wonderful thing, and apparently he didn't.
He didn't think anything at that point was the most wonderful thing. He
is now. He's saying that he was very fond of her performance.
I might quote JNT, "The memory cheats."
Yeah.
And at the time, I mean, again, you presumably watched the previous writing around Mel was pretty poor.
Yeah, he did say that, yeah.
She does what she can do with it, but a lot of the time she is misexposition. She will literally say what's happening right in front of her in a pointing it out kind of. And since she's done Big Finish, the audio productions, she's been given a lot more opportunity to be someone.
Yeah.
But given that we've never met her family, and we actually, apart from a writer's brief, we really don't know where she started from, because she started partway through her existence due to time. Timey-wimey, I think.
Yeah.
You know, she had a weird entry. She had a very weird exit. I mean, again, it was mentioned she was with Glitz, who died at 101, which... How old is Bonnie?
I think she's 101. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know how old she is. But she's, I mean...
how's the character, really? Because...
I mean, I think when I was about 13, she must have been a few years older than me. So I'm guessing she must be in her 50s.
Oh, yeah. It's that kind of, but if you left then, where are you? Well, then time.
Yeah. Well, I think she went ahead in time and then came back again or something. Or back in time.
Yeah.
It's very, very confusing.
We don't know where anything was at that point, but she got the equivalent of an intergalactic Uber home.
Yeah.
Which again was
it's
literally...
funny, that little story that they just chucked in there with that.
That's how you get a lift.
Yeah. And then they made a joke about it again later on. They knew something else. Forgotten what it was called exactly, but it had a name, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we met the Vlicks, is it?
The Vlicks, yes. Like, can the Vlicks be trusted? Who knows?
No, I quite like him.
This is all set. You can tell the way they're doing all this character development that this is setting up a unit spin-off.
I mean, that is Mr. Smith.
Yeah. They've got the fact that they've put so much effort into that set too, with like between the wheelchair ramps and all that, and the outside set, the whole Avengers Tower thing. There's no way that's just going to be left just for that, you know.
I'm not sure. I again, it's one of those ones where they've got a lot of space. I mean, I was actually saying, if you've ever Googled Babel Studios, the warehouse
it looks massive,
enormous, and actually the helipad is on the Google Maps image, which would be a bit of a spoiler if you looked at it a few weeks earlier.
Because it was such a closed set as well. They had to block everything off because they were filming it outside. So no one knew about the split regeneration.
But they have described it as one of the most expensive sets.
Yeah.
Because of it actually having to be constructed. They couldn't just use another building space for it. So, I suppose they don't want to ever get rid of it if they can.
No, use it as much as possible. I mean,
exactly. They will definitely reuse that.
But unit bases have a lifespan of about that of a mayfly, don't they?
Yeah.
Is this the first time? I think this is the first time we've actually seen inside, at least the headquarters.
Oh, you say this? The Flux? They just signed the lease and blew it up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there is the Tower of London.
True. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot they use
So
that
why
as
they-
well.
And
yeah,
then they've
yeah.
got, and then all the Torchwood ones as well. They're all blown up
Yeah.
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 at some point. Let's blow everything up.
Everything
Um,
blows up.
But
Oh.
this is it. You know,
That's
the-
Russell.
Well, you
That's
get,
Russell T
Yeah,
Davies.
that's
like
Russell T
blowing
Davies.
things up,
gets
yeah.
What
blown
happens-
up and you get paralysed.
Literally, I will run at the wall and everything will explode when I hit
That's
it.
why they need the wheelchair ramps everywhere.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
everyone's
Because
paralysed.
all unit staff at some point become paralysed.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we've decided. And all unit staff have
to be fair,
weapons in wheelchairs.
to be fair, if you suffered, if you're in unit, surviving seems to be a good outcome
Yeah.
of any kind. I mean, again, we saw quite a
A lot of deaths in this episode,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of people turn into balloons and
Falling off the side
falling
of
off the side of buildings, slow falling.
Yeah.
yeah.
He says, "Oh, I think they're still falling." I thought
And
it was
then
such
you
a
just say,
nice line.
Then you
Oh,
see it
that's
like-
so dark.
Hello.
That is so dark.
It's very, very dark.
Oh,
So yeah, so we had a flash of Unit and Donna doing her recorder thing with the music
Yeah,
and the horrible
them
laugh.
working out.
the
And
horrible
Kate having her band turned off. And
Yeah,
properly
that
going
was-
100% conspiracy theory gammon.
laugh. Yeah, she was. Yeah, that was horrid.
It was just, yeah.
But is that what she really thinks?
Or is that actually because, again, in the previous story, there was the conversation that Donna thinks she's stupid and brilliant at the same time. We
Yeah.
can all have these thoughts in our head.
Yeah.
It depends
Yeah.
which ones we use. And the giggle
Yeah.
is the thing that
It's true.
highlights the
It's very true.
worst.
My biggest question is, what are going to be the repercussions of what's happened in the human race? Because that actual story doesn't really get wrapped up at all. It just gets forgotten about. Like,
Blowing up,
does everyone just go back to normal after
They
all
did
that
because they
happened?
blew up the satellite.
which,
Yeah, okay, but that stops the broadcast, but doesn't stop the damage it's done.
yes, everyone is still looking at the
Everyone's
politician
still-
who went,
Everyone's
should I care
still
about
done
you?
that,
Yeah.
that. Everyone's still done what they've done. Has still killed who they've killed, and that's still gonna have a mental impact.
Yeah.
Oh, I will be honest. This is. I love Russell, I really do, but this is one of his problems: is that
You never-
everything is very
Yeah.
visible.
Because we'll probably never know, really.
I mean,
going by past.
to be fair, Chibnall did blow up the universe,
Well, yeah, okay.
and although it's talked about in
Chibnall did a lot
here,
of stuff.
Yeah.
you know, he did blow it up and not put it back afterwards.
Half.
You see, Russell T Davies does tend to put things back after you know.
He does try and,
But that's all right then.
and, and that's all right then. No, I mean,
he glues
when we
London
get
back
to that
together.
point,
Yeah.
that is going to
We'll
be
come
a
back
thing.
to that.
He's there with his little maid's outfit on, a duster,
Yeah,
gluing
oh.
everything back together with a bit of super glue.
But then Moffat also did that with
Yeah.
the crack. So
Yeah.
what happened? Anything that people remember that they shouldn't has been swallowed by the crack.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Okay. Russell's back.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to have a slightly more
Yeah.
contained view
Well,
of
that always
disaster.
happens when Clara cries into Amy's crack. So
Oh dear. See, no one then refers to it as that under any
it
circumstances.
it wasn't cracking the her
Yeah.
bedroom wall.
What are you doing? I'm yelling into Amy's crack to save someone's life. It's just a. Oh, there are dark places we go. Where are
you
the
see,
Time
I
Lords?
think-
Well, they're in. No.
The thing is, I do think, like all family entertainment, there should be some little bits of adult jokes
Absolutely.
because it's something for the adults, something for the kids.
It's one of the reasons the series has always been quite good is
Yeah.
that you can have. I mean,
People like us watching it, and
Yeah.
little tiddlers watching
but
it.
it's also the idea that there's intelligence in layers there.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the old Tom Baker line of the very powerful and the very stupid have one thing in common. Rather than alter the views to fit the facts, they alter the facts to fit the views.
Yeah.
And that's very uncomfortable when you're one of the facts
Yeah.
that needs altering. And that's essentially exactly the same as this story. It's the idea that people have decided what is true.
Yeah.
Irrelevant whether it is true, they will, I can land a plane in the middle of London with no problems. That you believe? It's not true. You're all dead, but you absolutely
Yeah.
tried to change the world around it.
So it's so the whole thing is they've now found out it's a musical tune, and Amy and the Doctor have to go back in time.
Donna. Donna and the Doctor.
Sorry, Donna and the Doctor. Talk about Amy. Donna and the Doctor have
Going back
to
to Amy's crack.
Oh,
yeah. I know. Once you've seen it, you just can't forget it.
It's stuck now. That's it.
Yeah. So Donna and the Doctor go back to 1925 to find out what's happened, and there were a few Easter eggs in the scenes.
Yeah.
Let's see if we've all got the same ones or whether we've got different ones. So the shop next to the Toymaker shop was called
Grades.
And it was the hairdressers.
Yes.
So because of him giving them the chop.
Indeed.
So I noticed that, but somebody else pointed out to me on the wall. It said, was it "Beware all Carmens" or "Beware Carmen"?
I didn't see that one.
It said,
No,
"Beware
I did hear
Carmen."
about that one, yeah.
Something to do with obstacles. So the only Carmen I could think of was the Carmen who tells David Tennant his time is almost over. So maybe she's coming back in some way, shape or form, or maybe it was just a hint that David Tennant's
The time is up. Yeah.
I don't know.
Or hinting to it at least.
But it was actually quite difficult to read. I had to get a big massive magnifying glass
Yeah.
and look
That's it.
on the
This is why I can't wait to
screen.
go back and watch it properly.
I have a feeling that I need to look around in the shop more.
Yeah, I bet there's loads.
There'll be loads in there.
It's one of those ones. But then that game with the balls.
Yeah.
And Donna stepping in. Since when were Donna's reflexes that good?
Maybe since-
I would be useless.
Maybe
No,
since
literally-
Dr. Don, maybe some of us still.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
definitely some stuff left on from that, isn't
Apparently, yeah.
there?
But yeah, the Doctor
I
gets
wouldn't win
very-
that game.
No,
no,
I'd
I
literally-
would be dropping it on the floor.
literally, I'd swallow it. I mean, just,
Well, I will say that juggling though, with the constant juggling and the throw, and obviously some of it would have been CG, but still, it looked really impressive.
Yeah.
And smooth.
again, Neil is
well,
a magician, a performer.
Exactly.
This
They got
is-
him because he literally ticked all the boxes for that role.
Yeah, I liked him.
But he's so intense in the role as well.
There's no one. I can't think of anyone else who could have done it. Really,
I mean,
Oh, except for my mate.
except for my mate.
Yeah,
Who's your mate?
I've got a friend who went off working for Cirque du Soleil, and he could do all that kind of thing. And he looked like him as well.
apparently Neil Patrick Harris was saying that yes, I can do all of these things, but you're actually asking me to hold a conversation at the same time whilst I'm doing
all
this,
these things,
and
yeah.
that's pushing it a bit.
Yeah.
Especially with the puppet when he was doing the puppets later on, and now that he was saying, wasn't he, all that was going off was so much,
But-
they happened to act it as well.
The sort of stuff you're seeing in there is the stuff I'd sort of like to see, and I think you did with Michelle Gomez, that you could see with the Master.
Yeah.
The idea of not unhinged but just intense, and also being able to puncture the Doctor quite well. I mean, then they end up in those corridors at the back.
Oh yeah,
It's
that
great
was-
seeing
Yeah.
because it's something that having something that's completely out of the Doctor's control,
Yeah.
and it just goes how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
great.
It is actually meaningless to walk through
Yeah.
doors. Why are you walking through doors? Because
And
they
obviously
can be anything.
it was
Yeah.
inevitable they were going to get split up like they did.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But I was actually
It's
quite
like-
sad that they came back together so quickly. I was
Yeah,
wanting a
that
bit
was
more of
that
it.
was surprisingly.
This was the thing for me. I mean, at this point, it seems like a good juncture. The kind of story we could have had, it could have been either tighter or it could have been 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen almost that first part with them trapped in the Toymaker's
Yeah.
domain. And do you know what? I think it's a crying shame that they didn't actually have Rose and Donna there.
Yeah.
That would have been a much more interesting dynamic.
They could have easily dragged it over 2 episodes.
I
But
mean,
it wouldn't have felt like they were dragging it over.
Imagine
No.
that bit with the dolls and Rose and Donna there rather than just Donna.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of them both being attacked. That would
Yeah.
have created
Yeah,
a
I
lot
can-
more.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
what you mean on that. I
It
think
could have been more, as you
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you
But I
say.
suppose-
Why is it just straight back together?
Because it was all based around it being one game, and him, they couldn't introduce too many games as well because of that. I think that probably limited them as well.
yeah, the games were a bit limp, I think, as well.
I don't know, again, the original version with the Trilogic game, it is a real game. This is the game the original Toymaker played. Apparently, Peter Purvis was given it as a gift and had it with him for ages and didn't get any work. And he threw it out, and the following day he was offered Blue Peter. So there's an association of bad luck with this game. But it is actually this really quite complex game. And whilst the Doctor is playing this really complex game, the companions are playing other games and more of them to try and get through. They're simpler because they're not the Doctor, but it gives you more character time, and it would have been quite nice to see
something on that scale.
Well, given he'd already mentioned, I hope I get to know your husband, Sean, having the family trapped in there would have been...
I wonder if that was ever a potential or on the cards or what.
Yeah.
Well, Bernard was supposed to be in it for more.
Yeah.
I don't know how much.
I know, because I know at the beginning when the unit car comes and picks him up, that's somebody standing
Body
in
double,
it. But body double.
Such a shame.
Because it's a shame, because they did say he'd finished all the scenes, which is obviously a lie.
He'd done them in
they already
No,
finished
he'd done
enough.
them in a read-through. They hadn't done them in real life. He'd done some of them, but he came and read through. And
no, we did the read-through,
and they were all like, yeah, this is really
So I wonder
good.
how much they had to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that was it, but I think they try and get everything done in one episode. I don't know why they need to do that.
Every other season finale is always over 2 episodes. I know it's not a full season, and it's even if they just made it, I don't understand why it wasn't an hour and a half.
Given
the 90 minutes,
given you've got that last 15 minutes, which is lovely. It is lovely, but it is 15 minutes, which at the end of 2 episodes would have had space to breathe, rather than feel like quite a long lot of breathing for a relatively, as you say, some of the games were a bit limp. You could have actually heightened up a lot more tension in there. And 2 parts would have done that, and we are still worried about Donna not dying at this point. Because as has been previously said,
at the end of every episode.
I mean, the last episode, just watching that corridor catch fire, I actually thought, is he going to kill her? And are we going to have a fake Donna for the last half? Because he could have done that. That would have been horrible, but dramatically very interesting.
I don't know. I mean, it seems to be it's almost like Russell's going, don't touch this family. You're not allowed to touch this family. This is my family.
Well, given where they end up, it is, you can see why. But I'd have loved to have put them a bit more through the ringer.
How long was the 50th? Was that 90 minutes, or roughly? That was definitely
75.
Not an hour.
No, I think it was 75 or
so how come they could do it for that? But they're saying that they've got this hour constraint, because obviously with Disney Plus they haven't got the constraint. It's only it must only be BBC that's forcing them to make that an hour.
Also, it wasn't. It was all 3 episodes. Again, it's what kind of arrangement they've made there. Because I mean,
I hate it when broadcast politics get stuck in.
Ruins
creativity in a way.
I wouldn't have liked to have lost Wild Blue Yonder for a 2-parter here, because I think that's good in itself. And I wouldn't have liked to have lost the Star Beast. But you do feel like there's time in there that could have been, if we tighten this one and tighten this one and tighten this one, we could have ended up with 4 parts that I could, this is just our wish. Just having a bit more time with the Toymaker.
Even the extra 30 minutes, I think, would have made a completely different difference, to be fair.
So right, okay. So we're going on to the actual by regeneration.
No,
we're going on to the theatre show.
We're going to the theatre show.
That's right. Where Russell is essentially trolling all of the other showrunners. So, Stephen Moffat, you've killed all of your companions, pretty much. They survived.
It was a big
Well, that's okay then.
I suppose he was, I never thought of that.
And then the flux. If the universe is gone, what are you going to do? And I thought, you
You minx.
Yeah, exactly.
That was-
You just
The whole purpose of that scene was to the digs
So
he
you
was
see,
getting in there.
I missed that in my little head. I missed the fact he was having a jab at the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
showrunners.
I was onto that.
yeah.
It was great.
They didn't.
I
mention-
loved that scene
Yeah.
though.
They
And-
didn't mention Rory, but then he dies every episode.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
Rory's
Oh,
pretty
he's
much-
dead and dead and dead and dead.
Clara's boyfriend dead.
Yeah. Anyone who Clara knew.
and even like his look
Oh,
when
the
he says about,
bird.
and he's like, and she gets killed by
A bird?
like, you can just
Well,
tell
that's
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is utter trolling on
Yeah.
Russell's part, and he would have laughed when he put that together. But
Yeah.
also, it highlights the trauma again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
that's
Doctor's
why-
trauma, yeah.
That's why Donna at the end of it goes, "Is this all true?
Yeah.
Have you watched?"
And then he just stands up. He's like, I'm not answering. He's
After,
like,
after I left, has everyone you know died
Yeah.
in some way that you've lost
And
them
technically,
permanently?
she nearly did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder you're frazzled. Yeah.
Bless him.
But no,
So,
that has to be probably one of my favourite scenes, to be fair.
yeah.
And then a very quick game of cut the cards.
Yeah. That was a very odd game choice, that one, though. That was just so quick. I mean, it's like, oh, we're running out of time. What can we do?
That
It's
was
quick.
a sonic screwdriver. Let's move on to the next scene without
Yeah,
having
yeah.
to unlock a door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely, it was just, I think it was just to do the best of three.
Yeah.
It was just as quickly
Just
to
to-
get
it
it on
was
the best
all-
of three. So
And obviously, he's mentioning about like the game with the master as well, losing, and everyone else
Gold tooth.
who's lost, and his tooth that
yeah.
he gets his perfect.
And it's
teeth.
like, well, we know what that's going to happen with that, don't we now?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, here we go again.
But then we're back to 2023.
Yeah.
hmm
We don't see them arrive. It was at this point I thought, are these two not real? Because it feels like there's no gap between here and there.
Yeah.
You know, there was no explanation of them coming straight back to the tower and just.
Why did they
And
bring
s-
the box?
And why on earth can Donna suddenly do computer programming?
Yeah. Mm.
That was just, I mean, yeah, Dr. Donna. See, I'll talk about that a bit later.
There's she definitely must have some things still in there. And I think some of the things that she reckons she doesn't know about, like the things that have happened to the doctor in that time, I think she knows more than she's letting on.
Yeah.
Or maybe
But-
not even consciously, it might be subconscious. Yeah.
But the all she's doing is data entry, basically. And
but even
she was
figuring
the
out-
fastest secretary, remember?
Absolutely, but you
Well, yeah, 'cause
notice
she
he
was
hadn't given her
working for
anything to
Torchwood.
type up.
She was pretty much working
was
for
a par-
Torchwood, wasn't she,
Yeah, she
before?
was then, yeah.
And that
Without
was a
knowing.
lovely line. Wasn't that a great line?
Yeah.
Oh,
Bonnie,
yeah.
Bonnie actually getting a chance to go. This'll happen. This'll happen. This'll happen.
Yeah.
And then Torchwood hired me. And then Kate comes on very strongly to Donna with, maybe you could consider working for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Donna comes back quite strongly with 120 and 5 weeks leave.
And she's like,
Yeah.
yep, done. That was so easy. It's like, I could have asked for more.
She's going,
probably.
why didn't I ask for more?
Yeah. Yeah. So she's gonna. That's where she's gonna end up, and I'm guessing she'll find things that Eunice have overlooked, and she'll bring them back to the Doctor, and that'll be the whole storyline.
Is this
For
the unit?
spin-off.
The unit dead files.
Yeah.
You know, the
The yes
closed
files.
cases.
And then-
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ones that we couldn't solve.
Yeah. Maybe.
And then we come up to, I think we're at that point anyway, where the Doctor admits how he thinks he's brought the Toymaker into our reality.
Oh yeah, we were.
And we
talking
go
about
back to the salt.
We were talking
And
about
I'm
the
like,
salt.
is this really the best thing we could think of?
Yeah.
There
Always
is-
the edge of the universe.
There is okay. I mean, again, it's one of those things where it looks like we may be heading into a fantasy realm
Yeah.
as a general thing.
Well, the whole thing was fantasy, wasn't it, really?
But we have had some of this before in Doctor Who. We've had in Warrior's Gate, we've had the I Ching as random sampling of the material universe, which can affect the nature of reality.
Yeah.
We've had various guardians turning up, protecting the universe from somewhere. We've had lots of things. We've had the demons. We've had actual witches and wizards in Battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
We've had all sorts of things. So, salt at the edge of the universe, the idea of a superstition, the idea of what am I? This is where stuff is, and that's where stuff could be, and it hasn't happened yet. So, just by throwing this out there, what am I triggering off?
I mean, we normally when we've got Merv here, he goes on about how he doesn't like David Tennant's Doctor because he's too confident and he's too sure. And I think this brings that bit of him to a head, that he's been too confident and he's been too
Is it a
sure.
front though?
What?
It could also be like a bit of a front with this.
I don't know. I think
because of the trauma.
I will say that the 10th Doctor, absolutely. I mean, that's how he ended up being Time Lord Victorious and all of that.
Yeah.
Ooh. This Doctor has repeatedly gone, how about all the times I absolutely don't know what's going on? This one is a lot more...
You can see there's doubt there.
Yeah.
Doubtful. And it's the idea that, have I triggered something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And then, yes,
he's
you absolutely have.
Second guessing himself this time, isn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah. Nothing can be more worse than killing half a universe, can it?
No, that's all right.
Nothing
A
phases
bird?
you at that point.
Yeah. So where are we up to now?
A song and dance number.
Oh, of course, yeah, we have to have a song and dance number.
Yes.
Seems to be the
Spice
thing.
up your life.
Do you know what, though? I really loved it. Because with the Master, I don't think of the Master as a singer, a dancer, someone who would enjoy music like that.
No, and yet he did.
Well, it's one of those things where I feel, if I'm being honest here, the character of the Master used to be someone very, very focused, and instead has been, well, he's the Doctor turned up to 11, but evil. And actually, I preferred the idea of someone who could be punctured by someone with a sense of humour.
Yeah.
Or if they did have a sense of humour, it was suppressed. Whereas the Toymaker, on the other hand, he's an elemental being who can do what he bloody well likes.
Yeah.
And so Rose Petals from stuff, he does harm a few people in there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't kill Kate and he doesn't kill Bonnie, though he does.
There's lots of people he could have
spin him
killed.
around.
He smacks him up a bit.
Yeah.
Which
He
you can
could
hear.
have
You can hear
killed
even worse in the
everyone.
version without the music that I sent you.
Yes.
Have you seen that version?
If it's the one I think it is, and I'm not that much in distress. Back to Ian Levine and his creation, that one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he did Doctor in Distress.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah,
yeah.
he's very, very embarrassed about it as well.
Well, I can see why.
He said his whole career was ruined by that.
I think
and
his
I'm
heart
thinking,
was in
what
the
career?
Tell that to take that. I think his heart was in the right place,
Yeah.
if possibly not his focus. But this one, on the other hand, was a joy to watch. The only thing I didn't understand, and even though I know that this is an evil being from the dawn of time, no one joined in. At no point did they actually think, what would actually happen? Because this is actually a catchy tune. What would happen if we actually joined in? Would the Toymaker be completely thrown?
Yeah.
You know, what is... It's very... I was joining in. Let's be honest. I was watching, this is good. But yeah, fun stuff. And then...
Did they hear the music though?
Well, no, they could. That's why they asked it to be turned off.
Oh yeah, true. They did. I was going to say, because imagine if it was just all in his head.
I can imagine Bonnie was really itching to join in.
Oh yeah, that's
But yeah, then we're back onto the the galvanic beam?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, a bit of galvanized metal.
Yeah,
in a beam.
I gather the radiation it uses is the same one as the one in Midnight.
All right,
The planet is bathed in galvanic radiation.
Well,
I don't know why he chose that again, but probably because it's supposed to be lethal.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And completely made up.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't Mavity
more
beam.
Mavity beam,
Mavity beam,
Oh, and we still don't know if that's stuck or not yet, do we?
No one's used it yet.
We'll know. I'm sure we'll find out at some point. And then we'll see if he goes back and fixes it.
So the ball catching game, again, I thought that was a bit...
Well,
Hang on,
yeah.
we're
Well,
jumping
that's
ahead
where
again.
we're onto the bifurcation.
Yeah.
The fact that, and this is the bit where you go, why did you get rid of the meta-crisis Donna and Rose thing at the beginning?
Yeah.
Imagine if it had been Donna and Rose pulling the arms, and then you've got a way of offloading the meta-crisis and end up with two doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been, and then you'd have actually freed them from this. They are now not going to die.
Yeah.
You'd have kept the curse running. But at least Bonnie got
So-
together, pull the cracker.
If we go to the regeneration, so obviously he gets shot by this beam, and we are teased into thinking there's going to be a regeneration, even though a lot of us are thinking at this point,
Oh, yeah.
this probably isn't going to happen.
And he says a few things.
He says everything that everybody wanted him to say, which is like it's time to go, and obviously finishing off with Al Z. And then nothing happens.
And I had a horrible feeling he was going to say when he said, "Can you pull my finger?"
Yeah,
that was literally what
I at that point, no, I was just like, oh, right, okay. And then because I kind of knew that like the leaks and the spoilers that had been out there, but at the same time, I was also thinking, is this going to be like a Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi thing when just all of a sudden, bam, he just changed? I was like, we're not actually out of it yet. It could have been like, oh, something up, and then that just happened. Would have been as equally as like, haha, like wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if they pulled and then he just went like, blunk, changed.
But yeah, I'd never pull a Time Lord's finger. You get two of them.
Yeah, so we get two of them. They split off. Really, I think the effects on that was actually quite good. I love the camera movement that they had going round the back over the top.
Yeah.
So they had that camera repeating the motions constantly just so they could keep doing it. But apparently they went through loads of different versions of that effect before they picked which one.
Some
they
were
went
quite
with.
grim by all accounts, quite liquidy. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because all they're wearing really is just like hip to hip.
Yeah, it's sort of
and
like
then they changed afterwards. Yeah.
Twin separation. It was a bit. Bleh.
But I suppose it was good for Shooty as well because, you know, that was his doctor as well. And, you know, he looked up to David Tennant as an actor.
Yeah.
And he even said that it was actually probably him that really got him into that. Like,
Yeah.
So it's quite symbolic and good that he was there to kind of pass it on in a way.
Yeah.
And wasn't it fortunate he's not a shy person, and
Yes.
David Tennant is a generous performer and doesn't hog the screen.
Yeah.
Because Shooty absolutely is loud enough
Yeah.
to make his own presence felt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I think he felt a few presents as well.
Well, certainly a possibility. What was the line? Yes. Do you come in a range of colours? Yes.
Yeah. How do we feel about that line? Because at first I was like, I mean, we're white, so we can't really say much. But I mean, I know
We can say that Shooty said it.
Yeah, true.
So,
It's still one of those. I know a lot of people are going back and forth for it because I know there's two ways you could look at it. You can look at it from the racial and obviously from, you know,
or it
Yeah,
just
I
being a
don't know.
funny
the
comment.
campness.
That's
Yeah,
just nice. funny
exactly.
comment. And it's the kind of comment Donna would come out with.
True.
So
Yeah.
True.
And he would have told her off it was a problem. And Shooty absolutely would have said if it was a problem.
Yeah.
It is a punning line about a
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Because
suppose.
well, we've never had it. We haven't had a black doctor before, so it's an interesting
Well,
thing.
tell that to Joe
Oh,
Martin.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But we've never had one from the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Or in the, you know,
In the
15
recent
incarnations we know of.
Yeah, in the actual
yeah.
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
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 In this Whooniverse.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it's. I do think there's so much potential now, you know, to do all sorts of stuff. So we'll see.
Well, there's also, because you haven't watched any of the commentary
I
or
didn't watch the Unleashed.
So, in the commentary, Russell said a massive bombshell, which is the more law-changing thing of this. Every incarnation before has bi-generated. So we're talking like all 1 to 14. So there's now 3 David Tennant doctors,
At least.
at least.
Yeah.
So so it's gone back in time. So now there's 2 of every doctor.
But I will also say that
Yeah, no,
the showrunner lies.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The point is we've seen
He's messing with us. He does mess with us.
Well, no, because
we've seen the
it
TARDIS
makes sense
tales.
though as well. Because if you think about like the curator, that would fit in with that. If a version went off and did something like that.
Yeah.
or maybe just a future Doctor regenerates into someone like Tom Baker, like this David Tennant did.
It could
Ultimately,
also happen.
there are no rules, so we can work with it whatever way. I mean, the TARDIS Tales is a sort of case in point. with older variations of the Doctor turning up in there. But generally they've excused that by talking about time differential and all stuff like that.
But maybe they are all just about regeneration versions.
Maybe he's got a cupboard full of old doctors clawing at it.
It just opens up the universe so he could literally do whatever the hell he wants right now because it's just open and it's an open book. I'm not against it. Like, even with the time that we discussed last week about the timeless child, I wasn't fully against that, to be fair.
No, I wasn't either.
I don't think, again, just going back to what I said last week, is I don't think it should have been the Doctor that was the timeless child. Somebody else.
The Master would have been ideal because that would have also explained.
Or somebody related to the Doctor, even. If you wanted to.
It would have been really nice if the Doctor had been the person who'd taken care of the Master in an earlier phase.
Yes.
So, he had been given additional regeneration cycles to sort of monitor this timeless child. But as it stands, the only reason I don't really like it is because it makes the Doctor a weird special thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Just
a madman.
He's a madman from Gallifrey, and now it's like he's a madman from who fucking knows?
who knows?
It's the equivalent of the old Jerry Anderson programs where you ended up with a child in there like Joe 90. If you want to alienate children, make a young child and give them special abilities which will make you feel like you're not that good. It's the Adric, it's the Wesley, it's the whole idea of the chosen one that is, immortal because you can't kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes for a very dull narrative.
Yeah. I never like things about ghosts because you can't kill a ghost; it's already dead.
Well, there was this
Unless
one
you're
show
clever
I
about-
watched, and it's like Silver or something could kill them, and they had these swords. I can't remember what it's called.
If you're
now.
clever about anything, you can do anything. It's like
Ghostbusters.
it's things like when people talk about canon being restrictive.
Yeah.
Doctor Who takes place in an entire universe. Therefore, all you do is do something far enough away for it to not make any difference.
Yeah.
Canon's not really a
I think
restriction unless you...
And especially on a time show, and time can be rewritten. It's like, well, the canon can be rewritten too.
Well, if you want to, but then why are you sitting there to break someone else's story when you could write your own?
Yeah.
And then sit there and mock them.
Well, yes. A bird.
Exactly. But so we end up with the poor old guy, the poor old Toymaker dropping the ball, and folding up into the box, saying that his legions are coming.
So we still don't know who Beep the Meep's boss is.
We don't know.
We
who the
still
boss
don't
is.
know who is. So I wonder if it's all the same being that they're talking about.
The Toymaker, he's frightened of something.
He ran from something.
Yeah.
And he ran from something in this universe.
Yeah.
Which is
so he must have come through and found something and then had to run.
Or run into something in our universe.
It's not going to be blooming John Barrowman, is it?
There might be reasons to run.
As
it
the
depends.
face. That's only bring him back. Just bring him back as the face of Bow instead now, because they can't bring him back.
Where are we now?
But actually, I won't say anything just yet. So we, so we end up with David Tennant doing his retirement scene, which irritated me. I mean, I know lots of people like the fact that he's gone off to live with Donna.
Gone to rehab. He needs to go get some help.
I'm fine. The reason is
I don't like it.
What it made abundantly clear, for better or for worse, and although it was all enjoyable, these 3 episodes were a way of closing down that lot.
Yeah.
So this Dr. Shooty, basically the whole thing with David Tennant's Doctor now is to have rehabilitation, to lose the trauma, to lose all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then ultimately that feeds into Shooty, who is now unencumbered by the death of the Time Lords, the half the universe.
It's series 1 again as well. It's the same reason it's gone back to series 1. So this brings us back to it.
To be fair,
bring us back.
I don't actually mind having a Doctor without trauma because there's only so much you can have someone being tortured
and looking
as a motivation. If they never recover from it, You know,
And
you're
then
running on empty.
Is every bad guy going to come along and say, yeah, but you killed half the universe? And it's going to be just like, oh, we're going to keep using that over and over. So the fact that now they can't, and it's a complete reset, I think that is good.
I don't know, but I didn't like.
There'll be stuff from the past.
Yeah,
that
there will
comes
be,
up.
but I mean, it's not going to be as obvious when they don't or do use it.
But is that you destroyed half the universe? Actually, I didn't. Someone called Tecteon did.
Yeah.
They were trying to attack me, which seems like a really blunt instrument approach. You know.
But, you know, I'm sure that the spin-off with David and Donna and Rose, and,
If we get it,
and Mel even.
I'm sure we will, but if
I think it's all gonna...
Unit definitely will be spinning off.
Yeah.
We know that Donna is now part of Unit. We know that Bonnie is part of Unit.
Well, maybe they're going to be part of.
Maybe the
spin-off.
Doctor will become part of Unit now.
Except, of course, you've now got your exiled Doctor.
Yeah.
You've got your third Doctor again.
Yeah.
But exiled by choice.
So it has become quite confusing as to the map of what happens next.
But we are at the beginning, so I think to be confused at the beginning of seeing what's to come up is fine.
Yeah. It's clear that Doctor Who is Shooty and onward.
Yep.
Yeah, shooting off.
Yep. And then we will have a variety of spin-offs of different sorts, which we had before. The only condition on this is how creative they are with them. The Unit ones, we've already, I mean, as I say, that's the third Doctor, basically. So you can be creative about doing that stuff. You don't have to do many of the episodes because you could do another series of spin-offs. And ideally, you don't want them all on at the same time.
Yeah.
So you could have a full year's run of Doctor Who-ishness that isn't Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
that.
it.
I've
They
heard
could just
that Sarah Jane's kids are coming back.
Well, it's a good way to fill in the gaps between, because I mean, there's normally a big gap between the actual Doctor Who seasons. I mean, there shouldn't be really this time because they're already filming season 2, and we're about to go into season 1. So it's probably going to be about the same time next year, I'd imagine.
Unless there's stuff we don't know that's already happening.
Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of. I think they're going to have a lot of content to fill the Whoniverse.
You know, I know a storyboarder, and I no matter how much I torture him,
we try to bring him on the podcast, and he's scared. He's scared to come on the podcast.
He's scared of Russell.
I'm not going to end up in Russell's basement again.
It's like no.
So he's really, you know, he's really.
How do we feel? Let's say they did a spin-off then with the Doctor and Donna. How would? And it's alongside the current series, or it's in between the gaps of the series, completely unlinked. How would we feel about that? Will we feel like it would take away from the main series?
Not if it's on at the same time. If it's, I mean, again, for me, I want to see a Paul McGann one.
Yeah. Which
I think
they could easily do.
It depends how it's done, and it depends whether they sort of have it as a side shoot and, you know, don't trumpet it as much as the main event.
Because obviously, like, we already know Tennant's schedule is not really, permitting. Hence why we didn't do a full series, because from what I've heard, he was offered a full series, but he didn't have the time to do it. So
he's off Hamleting again.
Yeah.
One-off specials or mini-series, I suppose he can probably manage.
One of the problems they're going to have if they do a Unit spin-off is why on earth aren't they using David Tennant?
Yeah, he's like, haven't you got the Doctor at home?
So, yeah, exactly. Could you not ask
bring him in?
Yeah, we're struggling with this one. Pop
no,
over.
I think he's going to, even though he's with them, he must go off doing his own, like, elements. And he's got a TARDIS, he's got his own sonic screwdriver, he's got his own everything, really. There's nothing saying he has to stay with them.
No.
And
I'll be honest, much as I like Donna as a character, I'm not sure she's the place for rehab. Not a calm and soothing. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
But he did say that she was his best mate, and that was the thing, you know.
Or maybe he goes off with Rose instead or something like that.
Well, I suspect that
which they've already hinted at, haven't they? They already hinted at that at the end.
I suspect so, yeah. I suspect
that they went to New York or something like that, wasn't it?
No, it was Mel.
That was Mel, wasn't it?
Mars.
Yeah, Mars, yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
So what about the future? Are we thinking a Christmas one?
I see musicals and goblins on the
Musicals
horizon.
and goblins, yeah.
Well, I think there's been enough of that around on available as a charity record now. But it's Gremlins. It's a good thing to hang Christmas off.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not sure. I watched it and I thought, oh, this is awful. I don't know whether I can cope with this. But maybe in context, because of course you've seen it out of context with the little trailer.
Yeah,
I hope they cut it down. I hope that's just a longer version of the scene to promote the track, especially now I know it's for charity and they are trying to push it for Christmas number one. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I really felt like that scene was too long. There's no way they could just go into a 3-minute song and dance in Doctor Who. I don't know.
Jinx Monsoon is coming into the series. They could do a full episode of singing and dancing. So brace yourself. Yeah. And Jinx is very good. But we shall see what happens. Ultimately, all of these things have to be taken as they turn up.
Yeah.
It is a Christmas episode.
It is a Christmas... And going back, Christmas episodes have always been a bit crazy and experimental.
Or not very good.
Well, yeah, that too. I didn't want to say that. But
And frankly, if you go full on Muppets, why not? You know.
Yeah. Maybe the Muppets show
Actually,
up.
I would have liked the Muppets more than Gremlins.
Well, given you've already seen Stooky Bill with puppets, imagine Kermit catching fire. That's not a good place to go.
The thing is, I think Miss Piggy is a Time Lord because when her handbag's stolen in one of the films, the mugger starts pulling out ironing boards and all sorts. So she had a TARDIS bag.
As is, of course, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you never see them in the same room together.
No.
I'd imagine it'd be funny if they threw that. I'm surprised they've never thrown that in an episode of Doctor Who, actually, as if say, oh, Mary Poppins is a Time Lord. Imagine if the Doctor just said that as just a joke or something.
Yeah,
Bear in mind, Missy.
Yeah, well, pretty much was Mary Poppins.
Yes. With that right edge.
Actually, it's one thing we haven't mentioned, just to go back.
The
master.
The tooth at the end. Who picked it up?
Well,
here we go again. It's the ring all over again.
It's Unit. So how did you get clearance if it's the Master's wife?
It won't be her.
It's not the Master's wife. And it's not one of the Master's acolytes like last time.
Do you think it might be...
We know it's not Bonnie.
No.
Because she didn't have painted nails.
No.
In fact, actually, we should look on the show and see if anyone
Well, when I
has
watch
red
it back, I'm
painted
going to
nails.
see who's got painted nails.
But they had to be red painted nails, of course, exactly like last time. Apparently the last time it was a makeup
It had to
person
be gold again.
who did it.
Oh,
And then they
okay.
wrote in afterwards that it was this governor of police, prison
Well,
warden.
I think there's a few times like that Russell did that with the original series where he'd write something and then later
Seeded
on
it.
it'd
He
be like,
thinks, "Oh, who could
actually
it
we
be?"
could link it with that. I don't think even he knows what he's doing half the
No.
time.
No.
Well, to
He's
be
usually drinking, apparently according to the book, he's usually drinking tons of coffee and smoking, chain smoking when
he can literally see
writing
through
an
time whilst
episode.
he's writing. But yeah, we're watching a series that has had a story arc that started in 1975.
I know.
When you look at that and you go, there are no other TV shows which have actually had a Time War story arc that ran from 1975 through till whenever, if ever it's been resolved. That's just literally going back and looking, if I just draw these lines here, we've actually got an amazing story.
I do like the way he just looks like he just really enjoys Doctor Who and he's just happy to be there in most of it. And it's like he's not in control. It just seems like that
It just
sometimes.
happens to him.
It's like
You're thinking he's there with a spreadsheet plotting it all out, and he's not.
Throw enough things out there and then afterwards go, what can I use out of what I just threw out there?
Yeah.
Are we going to see Colonel Ibrahim again? Are we going to see any of the other unit people? We have previous unit people. We've seen Trinity Wells back. We didn't mention Trinity Wells. The news broadcaster from the original series, who's now an anti whatever the device is.
Thing.
Looking proper
Anti-arm thing.
annoyed. But there are lots of things out there which are seeded in there, which anything could be a story. Anything they could run with.
And now they can bring somebody in a wheelchair as well.
Yep.
So they can.
So they got the smacking the TARDIS round the backside seems to send it into two TARDISes. Yeah. And one with a wheelchair ramp.
Yeah.
Hopefully just the ones.
So and strangely having this jukebox just plonked.
I saw promo pictures before of the jukebox and his TARDIS. I thought, that's gonna be. You can tell he's gonna be more music and dancey and whatnot around it. Anyway,
You already got the disco lights.
and the disco lights.
And do remember, it's
Who
an
wants to be a millionaire? Lights.
Yeah.
According to Cassandra, it is an iPod, not a jukebox. Back in the
is
day,
it?
back in
iPod before the iPod.
End of the world. It's literally, this is called an iPod, I believe. But yeah, having music. The only thing I'm still slightly concerned about is the size of the TARDIS console room.
Yeah, it's big, isn't it? It's big.
Is it too big?
Do you think they just, when they got this big warehouse,
They just thought, let's fill
they
it.
were like, okay, let's make
Yeah.
a massive air fitting outside. We've got this massive room, because I saw the actual room that they put it in when in the behind the scenes. It's
Construction,
massive.
it's astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm actually
And
thinking,
even the green
Blake,
screen that they
I'm
use.
actually thinking, Blake, that you're probably working for them because that's what you keep saying to me. Oh, we need this and we need that. So that's what the set designer there saying. Oh, we really need this.
Yeah.
But it is that you can't blow it up.
No.
You can't do stuff. I mean, they did sort of blow it up with the coffee,
Yeah.
but only the console. They
Because
can't.
the coffee machine disappeared, did we say?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
It
Why
makes
would the
sense
TARDIS
if
have
it-
something in it that's allergic to?
It should regenerate itself to get rid of that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we haven't got that. We'll swap the coffee machine with a jukebox instead. That's
Yeah.
safer.
Yeah.
It's a safer option.
Yeah.
What is it?
But yeah, onward they go. So
So we'll see. And we'll watch all the great big goblin king that looks like Jabba the Hutt and many gammons.
Yes.
potentially, yes.
Mm.
So
We'll be back next week with Merv, I think.
Yeah, I think Merv will want to tell
And
us what he thinks.
Yeah,
about
because he's
it.
missed out on the last two. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say and disappointment over that. We know in him.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think he'll be pleased that David Tennant's been brought onto his bottom, basically.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like David Tennant. He keeps saying, "Oh yeah, no, I do like him as a Doctor, honest."
But
So I think he will like the fact that David Tennant has actually,
and then we'll probably just do like a whole special recap, probably with him.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on to Christmas.
Christmas, yeah. I don't know what we're doing at Christmas.
I mean, we've
I'll
only got
be
a
at
couple of weeks
Christmas.
anyway. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Anywho.
Anywho, yeah. We'll maybe we'll do the Christmas one in the new year.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get it done at some point.
Right. Goodbye, everybody. And we've been AnyWho. And goodbye to Daniel and to
Thank you for
Blake
inviting me on.
And
to me,
don't
Sharon.
forget to subscribe.
Yeah, you do that bit. That's your bit.
And like the video. And if you're listening to us on Apple Music or Spotify, make sure you drop a follow and rate the episode. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.